I don't want to,
No, it's fine. I much prefer a dialogue rather than 10 minutes each. I don't think you'll find many humans volunteering for this experiment.
And probably very few gibbons too.
Okay. So I would quickly point out this doesn't happen in nature. Okay. Secondly, it did not produce a fertile offspring. If there are similarities in DNA enough to initiate the process, that still means nothing. Okay. Sometimes my computer will try to load a program and then fail. Okay. So it's not a success.
But horses and donkeys do not produce fertile offspring
well, yes,
either.
1 out of 20,000 mules is fertile.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
It's pretty rare, but it does happen. But see, the fact that a horse and a jackass and a zebra are probably different, they're certainly different species, but they're obviously the same kind. I mean, any 5-year-old will tell you, they stand back and look, they're the same kind of animal. This is not the same kind as a turtle, for instance, okay? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where the kind is, which is what I told you. And if I were asking the taxpayers to pay for my religion to be taught, the burden of proof would be on me to demonstrate this. But I'm not.
All right. Well, on your, I confess to still a little bit of confusion here. Let me see if I can straighten this out. You mentioned that horses and donkeys perhaps should be considered the same kind because 1 in 20,000 mules is fertile. Since we haven't actually tested, as far as I know, I hope we haven't, 20,000 attempts at cross-fertilizing humans and apes.
That's quite obvious to anyone that studies the number of chromosomes of different animals, which I cover in my seminar, the chromosome number is vastly different, and certainly the length of the chromosome. There are all kinds of things to cause it problems. It's actually tough enough for human couples. Very frequently they cannot produce a child because it just takes one little minor problem, and there's a large percentage, Doctor, maybe you know, the percentage of human couples that are infertile that would love to have babies that cannot. I mean,
well, I actually looked this up, looked at chromosome numbers for horses and donkeys, and if memory serves, horses have 64 and donkeys 62. I could have that backwards, but they only differ by 2 chromosomes, and yet they are part of one kind because, for the reasons that you've just outlined so clearly. The problem is that humans have 46 and apes have 48, and the difference is, again, only of 2 chromosomes. So in one case you have a difference, but it's not enough to put horses and donkeys in different kinds. In another case you have a genetic difference, but it is enough to put humans and apes in 2 different kinds. And I'm not quite sure, I'm looking for some sort of logical consistency I can take back to tell my students, because they ask questions like this. They're a smart group.
That's a fair question.
They're the finest university students in the state, whatever those people up in Fayette, whatever it is, may say about the matter. UCA rocks.
The number of chromosomes is an interesting study. It is indeed true that chimps have 48, humans have 46. Tobacco also has 48. Amoebas have 50, and they say we came from an amoeba, yet they've got more chromosomes than we do. Chickens and dogs both have 78. They're identical twins. The fern has the most chromosomes. That's the ultimate goal of all evolution, to become a fern. So I think common sense would tell you, if you look through the possum, the redwood tree, and the kidney bean all have 22 chromosomes. The similarities, I think, are evidence of a common designer. Now, if you want to believe that humans and apes have a common ancestor, you're certainly welcome to believe that.
Thank you.
But that is not something that you should be using taxpayers' dollars to. Certainly you should not teach it dogmatically. And if you teach it at all, you ought to give other alternatives, like, hey, maybe the similarity is because of a common designer as opposed to a common ancestor. Okay, the number of...
it certainly could be Allah. I mean, God, sorry. Don't know what came up to me.
Yeah, it could be similarity. Let's see. I've got information on that here someplace. I have over 4,000 pictures, so it really helps if you ask your questions in the same order that I have my answers. That will speed things up.
All right. I actually agree with you about the use of taxpayers' money to fund the teaching of fraudulent theories. And you had an excellent solution for this on your website last year, and it doesn't seem to be there now, but at one time you had a very long explanation about why you did not in fact pay federal income tax. And it had to do with federal income tax is not charged to you as a citizen, it's charged to a fictional legal corporation that was created by the government.
Yeah,
this is shown because your W-2 forms and things like that have your name in capital letters, which legally does not refer to you, which would be your name in capitals and lowercase.
What you're doing now is another logical fallacy called red herring. You're trying to draw attention away from the argument by focusing on, or ad hominem argument, attacking me personally. I have nothing to fear whatsoever for IRS or anything else. I mean, obviously they're big boys. Why would you worry about it? You know, they can take care of me just fine. But I believe everybody should obey the law, including the government, and I do. And if you're going to try to accuse me of breaking some law, you need to better be prepared to defend that.
Oh, okay. I was not accusing you of anything. In fact, I kind of approve of the idea.
Okay. Getting us back on target, we want to allow you a few minutes to discourse with each other. But getting back on the subject, we do want to ask
more questions. There we go.
Sorry.
There we go.
Whose work I've seen by the name of Ken Ham. I believe he leads Answers in Genesis. Is that right?
Yes, good friend of mine.
And I believe it was on his website that he gave the suggestion that when a teacher presents the idea that the universe is millions or billions or cajillions or whatever they're up to these days, old, that the response is, how do you know? Were you there? I have actually gotten that response from several students of mine in the non-majors biology course I teach. When I ask them, do they have any questions? The response is, how do I know? Was I there? Well, the answer is I wasn't. So all I really know is that the universe is at least 32 years old. I was there for that portion of it. The rest of it is complete speculation. I was not there for, the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. All we have is indirect evidence for things like that, but we don't have direct demonstration that any things like this happened. So I'll just say that I definitely know it's older than 32 and leave it at that. Thanks.
All right, very good. And I can testify it's at least 49. I think the type of evidence we have for the Civil War is vastly superior to the type of evidence we have for evolution, okay? We have no evidence of evolution happening in the present. We have no proof of it happening in the past. It's something people believe in, and that's a religious worldview, and it should not be taught at taxpayer expense. I thought the question was leading to evidences that for the age of the universe. Okay. Typically, the most common given are, at least for the age of the Earth, are radiometric dating methods, be it carbon dating, potassium, argon, rubidium, strontium, lead-208, whatever. It doesn't matter. They're all based on the same assumptions. We cover that in our video number 7 in great detail. Living mollusk shells, for instance, were carbon dated at 2,300 years old. Obviously, they're not 2,300 years old. They're still alive. Freshly killed seal, carbon dated 1,300 years old. They had just killed it. Okay, it's not 1,300 years old. Shells from living snails, carbon dated 27,000 years old. I mentioned this earlier. One part of a mammoth is 29,000, another part's 44,000. Baby Dima was dated at 40,000, another part's 26,000, and the wood next to it is 9,000. If you get the Geological Survey Professional Paper 862, you will find rather interesting reading.